Hello everyone, this is Arreau from Overachiever and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I have a treat for you today. You remember, or if you've seen on the channel, that I've started the Patagonian bush trip from Los Cerros to Cochrane. Today I won't be continuing on that one, but probably as you've seen by the title of this video, we'll be trying something else. Basically, I've modded the game. Apart from the original 3 bush trips, Patagonian, Nevada and Balkans, I've added quite a few others as well. So yes, the flight sim is moddable. There is quite a modding community around and you can freely download these and install them on your own game. Today we will be going on the Pyrenees Bush Trip, which is an added mod to the game. You can download it from Nexus Mods or any other source if you like. That's just the place I got it. I'll be leaving the link in the description or in the comments. I'm not decided yet where to put it. You'll see it for yourself on how to install it and how to download it. It's pretty straightforward. You don't need a lot of things to do. Just download and add it to a specific folder in the game files. Now, the bush trip that I want to start today with you guys is in the Pyrenees, from Saint Girons to Laquette. It's 370 miles, about 3 hours and a bit, and I'll be splitting it into two videos. The first 4 legs in this one, and the other 4 in the next video about this bush trip. We'll be flying in our trusty old Crafter X Cup that we're also using in Patagonia to go around. Then, as you've probably seen there, it's a very trustworthy plane when it comes to landing in awkward locations such as the ones that we are seeing here. So grass strips, very hard to see grass strips, so you know it's going to be a rough landing if they have to mark it in order for you to see it. Now, these mods are player made, so it's not something that Microsoft or Asobo has done for them, but they allowed for other people to add content to the game and make it, let's say, give it a bit more flair and give it a bit more playtime for it. But anyway, let's begin. So we're starting from Saint Girons and we are landing in Bagneres de Luchon, which is the one over here. So let's begin. And we have quite the map in front of us. So I'll be starting from here, following the mountains, and basically we're circling them in one way or another, down to the right over there. Now, before anything, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us, helps the channel, lets me know that this is something that you wish to see in the future. As well, you can also follow us on social media. The links are in the description of the video, just to see what we're up to next. So don't forget about that. And here we are in a very foggy Alti-Surface d'Alieu. Also, we are right on the banks of the mountain. This should be fun. Alright, let's add the parking brake. Okay, I think I'll need to do a very fast takeoff. Right in the gist of it. As a reminder of how I'm gonna do this, I will not be using any autopilot. I'll be flying manually all the way. I'll try to show you pictures from the real place as we go on and as I find them. And I'll try not to talk the entire way. If there's something interesting to say, I'm just gonna say it. But before that, let's check a bit what we are up against. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of interest. And I'll be reading them as we go on. So the first one is Salat, Welcome to the Pyrenees Bush Trip. Roll off the ramp and let's get this started. Shortly after you take off, you'll see the Aragon River heading west. Follow it as it turns northwest and joins the Salat River. And we'll be going like this for about 3 miles. And I think the river is just this one, it's moving in that direction. I think I'll be sticking to the outside view. We get to see a lot more from there. Already the course has changed. Saint Girons, follow the river until you reach the town of Saint Girons. For almost 6 miles. It might be somewhere over there. Now, if you're worrying that I will not be continuing the Patagonian bush trip anymore, don't worry, I'll be continuing that one as well. But I just found this and I think this is very interesting. And there have been examples of other games such as Skyrim or Fallout, which are pretty old games by this point, but are being kept alive by the modding community, which is something awesome to see in any game. Microsoft Flight Simulator included as well. This is quite a new game by any standard, so the content is fine, don't get me wrong, but it's still not that much. We still don't have the number of airplanes, flying options that we have in the older Flight Simulator. So having the community contribute to the success of the game and having the community add stuff alongside with the actual developers will always be a great improvement, and will also help the game a bit more, let's say, finesse. It helps the game be a bit more fleshed out. And I think we've reached Saint Girons. And these are absolutely amazing flying conditions. There is barely any wind from what I can notice. And the weather is just perfect. Just a few clouds to make the sky a bit more dynamic. And here we are to Saint Girons. It is going to be a bit tricky flying in the mountains. The winds can always be unpredictable, especially if you're going over the mountain peaks. But we'll just have to see what we are going to be up against. Okay, heading changed abruptly. Audressein, turn left and head southwest following the Les affluent. You will cross several small villages before the river splits again in Audressein. Now, if I butcher the pronunciation, I'm sorry. French is not really my native language. I just know a teensy bit of it. So don't judge me too hard on it. So 6 miles on this direction, and I think we'll be following this valley, and we'll be crossing over these villages. In the pictures that I will be posting on screen, I'll be showing you images from these pictures. Thankfully, we have Google Earth to tank in these areas. So in Patagonia or in the Balkans bush trip, you don't really have a lot of pictures from the ground of the locations because some of these places either are remote or not very popular. But this is a different story entirely for this area. This is very populated in a, let's say, in a rich country. So you'll be seeing a lot of things that are going on below us and how things really look like in real life. Okay, heading changed. So, Cabane Piejeau follow the western affluent of the river named La Bouillenne and advance through the valley, pass a few more villages, and when the river starts heading south, keep going west. On your right you should see a road that goes along the mountain. Mid-height through the woods, follow it. Ahead there's a big mountain with a rocky peeled top, head that way. So I'm guessing that rocky mountain should be this one. Let's see. Now we are going a bit into mountainous territory, so it might be advisable to increase the height a bit. Okay, that was an odd stutter in the frame rate. Let's see if we can get through this cloud in front of us. I'm a bit afraid though of freezing up. I am not really sure what the weather conditions are temperature wise for this bush trip. basically, if your plane freezes up, one or more things tend to happen. First and foremost, the pitot tubes will freeze up, and that's that L-shaped thing on the wing over there. And we won't get an accurate reading of our speed. At the same time, if we were to fly from inside the cockpit, the window will also freeze up. But the most dangerous part would be the fact that we would have ice buildup on the wings, which might reduce our lift. We might have ice buildup on the control surfaces, and we might have problems controlling the aircraft. So this is something that we should try to avoid as much as possible. Oops, sorry. But everything seems to be fine. It does seem that this bush trip is set to either spring or summer. Depending on when you see it, I'm recording this on the 30th of November, and where I live it has just started snowing, so seeing all of this greenery is sort of a relief from everything that's going on outside. And I think we have enough altitude. Now what you're seeing in the plane behavior is just the wind. It's not me correcting for anything, I'm just leaving the aircraft to fly free stick, let's say. And everything that you're seeing is made by the plane. Okay, heading changed. Point of interest flight. Gaud or Gaud. If the engine is not outputting 100% while above 5,000 feet, try lowering the fuel mixture to 80%. Seems to be going fine. It boosts power significantly. I'm not sure if it's a bug or in the intended behavior, but you'll probably need to do it several times on this route. Circle around the left side of the big mountain ahead, or over it, and I'm thinking that's the one. And keep going west. When you see the town of Bout and the Aragon River, descend and follow the river north. Shortly after it, you will be joined by the peak affluent coming from the southwest. So this is going to be quite a long leg. 8.3 miles. Yeah, so if you're wondering what the indications are talking about regarding the fuel mixture, so basically the fuel mixture here controls the amount of the ratio between oxygen and fuel that is inserted in the engine. Depending on the available oxygen in the air, so as you go higher, the oxygen is going to be a bit thinner. You might want to play around with this mixture in order to get the best performance out of your engine. From what I'm seeing, I still get almost maximum torque out of the engine, so I don't really have any need to play around with the mixture. The engine in such an aircraft like the Cab isn't vastly different from your regular internal combustion engine. It's not a turboprop, so to have a jet engine combined with a propeller or a jet engine entirely, it's your regular piston engine. The mechanics are basically the same. There are a few changes done to where various elements such as the place where the oil is being stored and the engine is a bit different from a car, but more or less these are the same. I'm not particularly sure, but looking at from the front, I think this is a Boxster engine on the cub. I'll be showing you something in this left part of the image with an actual picture of this engine. Boxster meaning that the cylinders, and I think it has 4 cylinders, like a regular car, are set up on the sides. So 2 on the left, 2 on the right, not like on your car, 4 vertically in a line. So it helps. It helps with cooling. You'd have the airflow coming in from the front, and you'll have your 2 pistons on this side, 2 pistons on this side. They would be cooled by the air intake flowing right above them. So, the more you know. I think this might be the peak effluent. Also, for those of you who haven't been into bush trips, at the end of each leg you would see a picture of the place that you need to land. Bush trips are VFR flights, so visual flight rule flying conditions. You are navigating based on what you see outside of your window. It's not like with airliners or jets where you need to fly based on instruments and very precise, let's say very precise maneuvers. VFR flight is what you would do in planes like this when you want to sightsee, for example. So now we're heading towards our landing destination, 7 miles I think down this valley. Follow the peak affluent, so I was right, it was this one, and advance southwest through the valley. Not far from there is the town of Portet de Luchon. Find the airfield next to the river right before it splits. So I might even go down a bit more into the valley so that I don't need to drop too much from the sky when I see the airfield. Also, there is a small trick regarding the smart cam. If you press the smart cam button, whatever your configuration might be, it will automatically look towards your let's say intended destination. And I think the airfield is right there, or maybe not. Let's see. Judging from the picture, it kinda looks. So we have your river down there, the road going there. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's our destination right there. This is a pretty interesting approach, because if I mess up my landing, if I need to go around again and try another attempt, I don't really have a lot of space to turn around and go for it one other time. So I really need to do this on my first try. Okay, let's give it one notch of flaps. I'll try to keep it under 70 as much as possible. Okay, second notch. Just remember, for this kind of aircraft, when the wheels touch the ground, don't directly press on the brakes, because this being a tail dragger, if you press on the brakes, you'll just nosedive. I'll need to first reduce my speed as much as possible, and then start slowly applying the brakes. This is a good time. I can also pull on the stick, and we are set to go. Yes, and this concludes the first leg. Next leg, Balestas. So we are heading right into it. So LFCB over here going towards LFIP. So this is going to just be a short leg across the valley. So from Saint Aventin to Balestas airport. Okay, fly over Bagneres de Luchon and immediately head west through the valley. Follow the funny looking river named One, or One, it might be either pronunciation, as it dodges the mountains and gravity. When it splits in two, ignore the northern branch and keep heading west to the small town of Saint Aventin. Okay, I'll not be using the VFR map that much. Just a reminder, if you are doing the regular bush trips, so Patagonia, Nevada or the Balkans, if you press the back on track at any point and in any leg, you will not be getting your achievement at the end of the let's say the route of the trip. These being modded, these being add-ons, it's not that big of a problem. But considering that the plane has GPS and you can just follow the arrow, it's kind of pointless to try to use it. Now, considering our situation here, I don't think I have enough runway left to attempt a takeoff. So what I am going to do is I am going to turn around, go a bit back on the runway, more to the beginning of it, and then take off. I'm not going to take off in this direction, simply because I'll need to make a turn in this very narrow valley, which is something that I'm really not looking forward to do. Okay. Okay, I think this is enough. Flaps in takeoff position. Full throttle. Let's go. Okay, speed is in the green. Let's take off. So if the speed on the dial is green, it means that it's enough speed for lift. If you also correlate it with the green bar, which is up to 70 knots on the dial, it means that it's safe to also extend flaps, or in other aircraft, the landing gear. so you won't be causing any structural damage. Okay, so pretty narrow place to fly through, but we'll just be following the valley as much as we can and gaining altitude in the process. I am really not comfortable flying this low in the mountains. And this is the place where the author of the bush trip says it defies gravity. Well, we have to consider that the world is, or the planet is a very, very big place. And the fact that the game tries to reproduce it as accurately as possible is no easy feat. So stuff like this tends to happen. You will see it in more than one places. But considering the achievement of bringing so much detail to the fold, I think it's something that we can, let's say, just overlook it. They are still updating the map, so a few days ago, at the time of recording this, they've launched the USA update. So first they've remade Japan, and they've added a lot of bespoke airports. They've manually remade some locations, now they've done the USA. Again, some bespoke airports. They've updated landmarks such as Mount Rushmore, which before the update was just a regular mountain. You didn't have the faces of the presidents. Other places like the White House, which was procedurally generated. It didn't have, let's say, the shape, the form, the color of the White House. It now does have it, and they've also updated the height maps for some rivers, from some lakes. So they are working on, let's say, bringing the game a bit more closer to reality. Now, looking on the navlog, both Saint Aventin and Portet de Luchon follow the same heading, 279, and I think I've passed, or maybe this is Saint Aventin, but regardless, I'll just read the the next waypoint regardless. So Portet de Luchon, keep going west, and right before the river deviates south, look for a steep grass field and a road on each side of it. Follow the road on its right. It will take you to a road that slowly zigzags its way up to a mountain pass. Oh, another hard name. Col du Pyrenees. Col du Pyrenees. Hard words. And the place that we will be landing is this one. So although we have asphalt, it's not gonna be easy. Okay, so this is the zigzagging road, and we have 2.5 miles. Head to that mountain pass and cross to the other side of the mountain range. Follow the road. The airfield of Balestas is a bit further ahead on the south side, next to a patch of dense forest. You'll probably see a lake with a long name as you maneuver to land. This is the first somewhat challenging airstrip on the route. It does indeed look like so. So I'm trying to figure out where this is. I'm really hoping it's not over here, because it's gonna be a bit of a weird maneuver to get to it. Oh, it is here. Oh, okay. So this is where you need to land. I think I'll have to go and do a big circle. This is a very, very short runway. Oh boy. But at least it's uphill, so the stopping distance won't be that big. Well, I guess that's expected flying in the mountains. Let's say flat flat surfaces are at a premium in these parts of the world. Okay. Let's start turning in. I'm not going to pull my flaps right away. We still need a bit of speed to get to the location. I am going to do this now. Okay. Throttling down, one notch of flaps, and I'm afraid I'm a bit too fast on the approach. So what do I have to do? Just before landing, I'll need to pull up a bit so that my propeller doesn't hit the ground. Okay. Okay, I'll try to come in as close as possible. Okay, pulling back on the stick. Well, this was easier than expected. But it's a bit challenging. Because if I were to have messed this up, so I landed somewhere near the middle, I don't think I would have had enough speed, considering that I'm going uphill, to take off, avoid these trees and try again. So if you were to do this on your own, just try to come in slow. Okay, going on to the next leg, which is the third one. So Castillon de la Laquette, which is a grass airstrip which is hardly visible. And if they need to mark it with a red arrow, you know it's hard to see. So let's try it out. No. As before, it lets me start from the point that I've ended the previous trip, so slap bang in the middle of the runway. So let me just go to the end, turn around, and then take off. Oh, come on. Okay. So what we have? 2, 3, 4, 5 points of interest, 23 miles to go. The first one is Arreau. Turn the plane around and roll off the lane. Already doing this. You'll see a lake and the Lac de Luchon affluent that crosses it south to north. Follow it north as it curves to point northwest. The town of Arreau, where the affluent joins the River and heads back north, is not far. Start gaining some altitude. Okay, it's hard paying attention to the aircraft and reading at the same time, so if I was stuttering a bit, it's because I don't want to crash the plane. Okay. Now this is an airport with a view. Oh, come on, turn around. Okay, so I'll be taking off, gaining some altitude and heading on 33447 miles. Alright. This is gonna be a fun takeoff. So, full throttle. Going down. Oh, very fast takeoff. That was fun. Okay, going on towards Arreau. I think we've gained enough altitude for the moment, and I understand why it told us to gain altitude, because there are quite a lot of mountains which are higher than the point that we are flying right now. So we are at about 6,000, 7,000 feet. That's what, 2,200 meters ish, 2,100 meters. And the ground is not very far below us. So to make an easy conversion, 1,000 feet is 300 meters. 1 foot is 30 centimeters, if you want to do the conversion. Heading changed. We are now going towards Lac de Payolle. As you arrive at Arreau, which I think is the one just below us, gain more altitude and keep going northwest. Cross the crested mountain in front of you to find the small lake of Payolle on the other side. I don't think we're gonna need more than 7,000, but just as a precaution, let's try to go to 7,500 feet. This is a pretty short leg, only 3.4 miles, and I think our lake is the one over there. Okay, we've gone a bit too high. Now, flying over mountains has this challenge. So like I've said in the beginning, the winds are a bit unpredictable as they pass over the mountain peaks, as they blow through the valleys. So maintaining a level altitude of your aircraft will not always prove the easiest of challenges. So you always need to pay attention to your instruments. So my vertical speed here is my best friend. Okay. So I think this is the Lake of Payolle. I don't see any other lakes in the region. And indeed it is. Heading changed. Sainte Marie de Campan. Descend and follow the Arreau de Payolle affluent, and I think that is this one, as it emanates from Lake of Payolle and it makes its way northwest. Keep going until it is joined by another affluent from the southwest to form the Arreau River. So we'll just be tagging along for 4 miles. The Payolle Lake does have a weird shape. I don't think this is a natural lake. Let me just look it up really fast. Lac de Payolle is an artificial lake in the French Pyrenees. It is located in the communes of Campan. Yeah, so I was spot on. So it is an artificial lake, and it's also a tourist attraction. Looking here on TripAdvisor, things to do before you come here. So there are quite a few nice views. So it's also a tourist destination, ski destination. Lots of places just to walk around. Basically, from what the reviews are in this region, it isn't necessarily a place to do some specific activities. You can just walk around and enjoy the views, as you are probably seeing on screen as I'm editing this. I'm adding some pictures of the location. Again, this being let's say a popular location, I have a lot of pictures to show you. It makes my editing job a bit easier. Okay, heading change to 208 Telepherique. Follow the southwest affluent as it heads into the ominous valley. It's not that ominous. As the river disappears, notice the road that continues forward. Follow it and surround the south side of Pic du Midi Bigorre that appears on your right, which I am assuming is that one. As the valley turns west, you will see a few houses amid the mountains. There is the Telepherique to Pic du Midi Bigorre, gain some altitude. So 5 miles, somewhere there I think, or there. And it might be necessary for me to go over the mountains. So up we go. Okay, so remember the mixture thing we discussed, so I'm not really getting the most out of my engine. Let me put the mixture a bit higher. Usually at sea level, the mixture would be 100%. But again, because of the scarcity of oxygen in the atmosphere at this height, I need to play around with it quite a bit. You see the road. Yeah, and we kind of need to go in the valley up front. Okay, just for safety reasons, I will be going on the left side of this mountain, just because I can't gain enough altitude in this short amount of time. And I need to pay a lot of attention to my airspeed, because if I try to gain too much altitude too fast, I might stall and just fall out of the sky like a brick, which I can't say I'm really fancy of doing. So the engine is at 100% and I am barely gaining altitude. I am going 1000 feet per minute, but considering our location, that's not that much. However, because of this, we get to see a lot of glacial lakes and we get to see a lot of the surroundings because of this. Now, what I'm trying to do, I'm just circling around, trying to gain altitude in this valley, as I still have some room to do so. This is a technique, although I'm not currently following any thermal currents. This circling around is something done by vultures and gliders. Basically, when they find a thermal updraft, they circle around in that place to gain a bit more altitude. Well, I'm not following any thermal updrafts because I'm not in a glider, but I am circling around just to gain altitude in a, let's say, limited amount of space. Okay, I think this is enough to go over. Yeah. Just to go over this peak. Now, this is one of the things I was telling you in the beginning, that it might take longer than they are expecting us to do, because you might have complications such as this one. At the same time, it doesn't help the fact that my fuel tanks are pretty full, so 77% for a short trek like this one is way more than I need. And having a heavier plane makes it also a bit of a challenge to gain airspeed. Okay, I'm considering the altitude. Let me see where I can also increase carburetor heat. Let's also turn on the heating. I don't want my pitot tubes or my engine to frost up. Okay, it should be fine. Alright, and I think the heading changed. Castillon de la Laquette, head west, full throttle and cross the Col de Tourmalet into the opposite valley. There's a restaurant up there. 2 roads go down the valley heading west. Follow the one on the left. When it crosses a valley looking south, locate a big parking lot and a patch of dense forest. Look more closely at the mountainside next to a road that kind of zigzags up. The very inclined and grassy airstrip of Castillon de Laquette is camouflaged there. Camouflaged. Land on it. This is the second challenging airstrip en route and the last one. So, the rest are gonna be a walk in the park compared to this one. So 3 miles, it's pretty close by then. Okay, let's start losing a bit of altitude and follow the valley. All right. So I'm throttling down because I am losing altitude quite fast, but I don't want to overstress the aircraft. So overstressing the aircraft due to high speeds is a thing in the game. So if you go too much over speed, you might be in the situation that the aircraft will break and it will be considered as a crash. Okay, I think the smart cam is a bit messed up because it's showing me my departure point. Where is it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't reached my destination yet. Okay, let's see. I lost a bit my heading. 254. My heading changed. I lost a bit my heading when I circled around in the mountains. But let's see, we might need to use the get back on track feature. Okay, so big parking lot. Valley. Okay, so if I don't see the airstrip over here, I'll be turning around to see where the smart cam is pointing. Although this area looks promising. Okay, don't see anything familiar over here. So I have this river over here, so I might have overshot the airstrip. Okay, let's head back and try to 181. Getting changed again. Okay, I'm just gonna click on the back on track. Where am I? Oh yeah. I kinda started the next leg. Okay, so the back on track shows you where you are for a short amount of time. So I've missed my mark. And I'm being shown the next leg. Okay, let's turn back, and I need to trust my smart cam a bit more. They did say it was challenging. Now the tricky part is gonna be to see where the airstrip is. Yeah, so my my heading indicator is just gone haywire because it doesn't know where I'm going. So I am following the river and I think it's over there somewhere. Yep. Somewhere here. Let's also bring up the picture. So we have the parking lot. Aha! There it is, I think. Or we have this over here and this over here. Yeah, so it's this one over there. Why would you put an airstrip there? Okay, let's do a sharp turn. The plane doesn't particularly like this. Okay, flaps down. Oh, way too fast, way too fast. Yeah, so this is the airstrip over here. Okay, let's go around a bit more and give it another go. Did I ever mention that I don't like grass airstrips? No, there's the parking lot. Okay, I'm gonna need all my skill to do this properly. Okay, this is slow enough. Okay. Oh boy. Yeah. So that happened. So, if I were to restart, where does it take me? I'm guessing at the beginning of this leg. Yeah, so this is what happens if you come in too hot. Okay, ready to fly. And it takes me at the very beginning. Okay, I'll spare you the journey. I'll just be jumping back to where I go into the final approach. Okay, so we're back with my second attempt at approach on this dastardly airstrip. So Castillon de la Laquette. Now at least I know what I'm looking for. So on the left side I'm looking for this configuration, which, judging by my smart cam, is supposed to be close. I think it's just above this ridge. So we have it over there. Dropping one notch of flaps. Second notch of flaps, I really need to cut my speed. Okay, let's do some S maneuvers. To cut down my airspeed. Okay, full flaps. I really need to slow down for this. Okay. Man, this is hard. How am I supposed to do this? Okay, have enough room to turn around. So it said this was the second most challenging. I beg to differ. Okay, we're committed now. Don't hit the trees. Okay. Success. Oh. Did you see what happened there? I almost nosedived again. So always pay attention with the brakes on this thing. Jeez, that was hard. Yeah, so... Man, that was taxing. Okay. So the next one is thankfully Santa Cilia de Jaca Airport. This is a long airstrip, tarmac airstrip, visible airstrip. Boy. Okay. So yeah, I need to vent a bit. This was stressful. This was very stressful. Okay, let's move on. So I think like before I'll need to go and turn around. So in this one we have 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so this is going to be a longer leg. So let me turn around and take off. Okay, so our first point of interest is going to be Villenave. Turn around and take off. Way ahead of you. Head west and follow Le Bastan River and the D918 road. Right before the imposing mountain range ahead, you'll reach a small town where Le Batan joins the Gavarnie River. Okay, flaps in takeoff position, full throttle. I'm expecting a fast takeoff. Okay, not necessarily on the airstrip, but I'll take it. Okay, flaps up, full throttle. Let's try and keep it level as much as possible to gain a bit of speed. From the picture of the destination, it seems that we will be moving out a bit of the mountain range and move into a more open area. Well, let's see. Okay. I'll also be trying to gain some altitude in the process. I don't want to repeat what happened in the previous leg, to circle around in a valley to be able to get over the mountain tops. I'm guessing I'll be doing a sharp turn to the left if the bearings from my failed attempt previously are something to be taken into consideration. So when we reach the town in front, we'll be going left. I'm really wondering how is it to live in a place like this. The views are absolutely breathtaking, but I'm pretty sure the winters aren't something to be pretty happy about. Skiing, I would guess, would be a major activity to do in this area. But considering that it might be a bit cold all year round, you don't really get those warm summers. But I do guess that living here, you would get accustomed to it. Okay, so heading changed. So, second point of interest in this leg, Gavarnie. Head south and follow the Gavarnie River. I think this is this one. Through a deep green valley, you will pass a hydroelectric station. When the river splits, take the southwestern branch until it splits again in the town of Gavarnie. Or Gavarnie. Maybe let me know in the comment section below how I should pronounce this. Okay, so this is gonna be 8 miles. That's a pretty cool looking glacier lake on the right. So these types of lakes are formed when the glacier inhabiting this valley, this glacier valley, melt, and that's all that there is left of the presence of their existence. In these mountains, or especially in mountains that go over 2,500 meters in altitude, these are pretty common. Most of these valleys, so the one that we just passed, valleys like those over there, most of them are glacier valleys, so they were carved by a glacier at some point in the past. Okay, I think I'm gonna need to start increasing my altitude as fast as possible again. It might be a bit, let's say, misleading. You see the mountains in front, you think, I have a lot of time to gain enough altitude. But that's a distance that it's very fast eaten up by the plane. We are going almost 100 knots and we are not climbing very fast, if at all in some places. So flying in the mountains really is a skill of its own. You need to plan ahead very thoroughly, or to think ahead if planning doesn't come in question. Oh, I wonder where is that hydroelectrical station. Okay, so I have a weird feeling that we are facing a very treacherous headwind. Okay, heading changed, and fortunately we don't need to go over those. So heading changed to 284. Follow the Ossue River west and start gaining altitude as you squeeze between the mountains. The goal is to surround the big snowy mountains ahead, the Villenave. So before the river ends in the lake of Ossue, find a path up a small river that opens on the left, around the southern side of the Villenave. On the other side, you'll cross the Aragon River and then find several lakes at high altitude, the Bains of Panticosa. Okay, and I think I've butchered that that text, but it's very hard to pay attention to both text and plane in this in this terrain. So this is a 9-mile leg. So I think the Villenave is the one right ahead, the snow-capped one. Okay, I'll try to gain altitude as we go. So if you'll try the Patagonian bush trip or the Balkans bush trip, the difficulty of those isn't matching this one's. So the terrain is pretty easy to navigate. You have a lot of space to navigate, especially in the Balkans, where you are mostly going by the shoreline. So stuff like this isn't something that you'll need to worry about. In the Patagonian bush trip, you'll be more concerned about finding airstrips rather than navigating mountains. There are quite a few mountains there as well, and we will be going into further legs into the Pyrenees mountains, so maybe we'll get some of that that action like we see here there. But at least for the moment, it's pretty easy to navigate. The Balkan ones, that's really one to relax. You're not flying a Cub, you're flying a Cessna, and that's a more, let's say, powerful plane to work with. But you don't really need that extra power because you're not traversing any sort of difficult terrain. Just be hopping from island to island, seaside city to seaside city, and I truly recommend that that bush trip if you just want to, I don't know, maybe relax, take a step back, and just enjoy the view. Which you could, of course, do this while watching this video, enjoying the views, seeing what's everything about, without the actual hustle of flying the plane through this area. Okay, so I think this is Villenave, or whatever you pronounce it. So I am at 10,000 feet and I'm still not higher than this mountain. This is insane. And I see there are also other people in this area here as well, but way higher than I am. So the MLL 71 in front of me is at 14,400 feet, so 4,000 feet above me. And I think that's the A320. I'm not really sure why those abbreviations are this way in the game. So he's in a proper jet, not in a ultralight like this one. Some spectacular views to our left as the valley winds down, and I'm hoping that we'll be following this valley. Okay. A lot of lakes, and yes, we are going down the valley. So point of interest number 4 or 15 in the journey, Bubal Reservoir. When you see a valley that opens up in the southwest, follow it. Soon enough you'll see the town of Panticosa and the Bubal Reservoir. Go there. So this is 6 miles. Panticosa might be at the end of the valley, and I think this is the reservoir over here. Now, call me crazy, but I think I'm just going to keep this altitude for the time being. I don't think we're gonna need to fly this high anymore. But considering what I had to go through on the last leg, I'm just gonna stick to 10,000 feet. Okay, I think Panticosa is here and not at the other end. A good practice when going on these bush trips, as well as let's say flying treacherous terrain, is to know what your next heading is gonna be. So just to pay attention when the course changes, so that you can plan ahead for what you need to do. If you need to make let's say a turn into the mountains, you need to maybe start gaining altitude. Maybe you'll need to go around something instead of over it. So knowing or planning ahead what you need to do is always a good idea. Now, talking about directions, 277, I'll be taking a right, 203, then a left, so I'll be going that way. I think we will be kind of keeping this altitude for the time being. The end of this leg might be in the valley up front, but we'll need to go around these mountains here. Okay, heading changed. Castle of Canfranc. When you reach the mass of water, turn west and gain altitude if necessary. I don't think that's necessary anymore. Cross the mountains ahead. Hidden behind some high peaks is the LFIP lake with a small dam. On the other side there is the E7 road and the Aragon River. Over those mountains, and I don't think I have enough altitude once again. Let me see. Yeah. So at a visual approximation, it doesn't seem that I am high enough once again. But I think this time we have time for a slow ascent. And this is a very interesting site. So these mountains are very steep on this side, but they seem to have a very shallow incline on the other side. Our next heading is gonna be 203, so sharp curve to the left. I'm guessing following this valley, right above the mountains ahead. So speaking of glacial valleys and glacial lakes, this is a very big glacial valley compared to what we have seen up to this point. So just imagine at some point in time, maybe a few thousand years ago, this entire place was almost filled to the brim with ice, which was flowing down the mountain valley. And in time it carved what you see here. Let me just go on the right side of this peak to see it a bit better. So that was a close call. Yeah. So ice basically shaped this valley as we see here. Okay, let's head back on track. And I think we are slowly leaving the treacherous terrain. Okay, oops, we are a bit in overspeed. And I think this is the E7 road and the Aragon River. I think we'll soon change to 203. Okay, heading changed. Aratores, lose altitude and go south with the river and the E7 road. After you pass the town of Villenave, there are a few cultivated fields, 4 miles. So I'm guessing somewhere there. I don't think we're going back into the mountains, and it should be safe to go down a bit more, although not too fast. How the landscape changes so far. So we had snow-capped let's say, mountains in the back with no proper vegetation, and just a few kilometers or miles away from those, we have these very dense forests stretching out for miles in every direction. Oh. Heading change to 299. Aisa. When you reach those cultivated fields, turn west and cross the Loubière River and the Green Hills. Right next and parallel to Loubière is the Estarun River. Estarun? Ah, not... I'm not on top of my language game today. I don't think I'm gonna need the smart cam to identify the airport this time. Considering the picture, it's a proper airport, not a grassy field anymore. So we're going 3 miles, and I think right ahead is the Loubière River, this one. Okay, banking left. Aragon River. Follow the Estarun River south until you leave the hills and forest behind and reach an area with cultivated fields. Okay, so this is the Estarun River actually. Okay, 7 miles and then we'll reach the airport. And my smart cam still doesn't look towards the destination. I really did enjoy flying through the mountains. It was a bit more challenging, but I can't say I'm not relieved heading into the hills and plains again. It just takes off the edge of it. And I know, because I've seen the map of this bush trip, I know that I will be heading back into those mountains pretty soon. So in the next video, we will be heading back into the mountains, back through the snowy peaks, back through the narrow valleys, and try to navigate and land on almost invisible airports. Okay, so I think the airport is somewhere to the right. Once the heading will change, it will go on 283, which is almost due west for 2 miles. You should be able to see it if I'm not mistaken. I think there it is. Yeah. So going on to A3. Santa Cilia de Jaca. When the Aragon River crosses a highway and joins the Aragon River, turn west and follow them. Locate the airstrip past the town of Santa Cilia, on the northern side of the river. Land. Yeah, there's our destination. It's a relief to see the airport from from so far away. The last two landing strips were goddamn awful. This is a more than welcome change in pace. Okay. Now on bush trips like this, you don't need to worry about ATC clearance and talking with the tower. These are not mandatory on this, and they are turned off for this kind of trips. So even if you're going into a major airport, just go ahead and land. So if you're concerned about immersion or realism, well, it is what it is. I am feeling a bit spoiled looking at the length of the runway, looking at the time and the space I have to maneuver. It's it's a blessing. Okay, throttling down, giving it another flash of oh boy, another notch of flaps. Okay, full flaps. Okay, pulling back on the stick and just pushing on the brake, not holding down. Okay. Okay, now press hard on the brake. Oh, that was close. That was close. Always pay attention. I could have lost it in the last second, and I would have needed to go on this leg again. For you, it would have been just a cut, but for me, it would have been an extra half an hour of recording. All right, so this concludes our fourth leg, and we are at our midway point through this Pyrenees Bush Trip. In the next video, we will be covering the last 4 legs in the trip. I'm not sure when the next video is going to come up, probably next week or later on this week, depending on when I post it and when I have time to record. But nonetheless, until next time, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe the video, and of course, keep popping those achievements.